You're listening to the 50-50 Football Podcast, the show where we break down the beautiful game with no biases, no fluff. It's just football talk. The World Cup is here, and after 4 years of waiting, of qualifying campaigns of heartbreak and hope, the greatest show on earth has finally kicked off across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 48 teams, 16 groups, and one dream. Now, every nation would have to tell their story, but today, we are telling one in particular, that of Group L, made up of England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Ghana arrived at this tournament with a squad packed with quality. Semenyo, Iñaki Williams, Jordan Ayew up front with his experience and goals. Thomas Partey anchoring Ghana's midfield. Young talent of Caleb Irinchi and Enes Nyama is real, but so is chaos surrounding it. Otuado being dismissed in March and replaced by the vastly experienced Carlos Queiroz, a man who has managed Portugal, Iran, Colombia, Egypt, and more across a career spanning 4 decades. And yet Queiroz himself described the Ghana appointment as the most formidable challenge of his 43-year coaching career. That tells you everything about the skill of this moment. Can the Black Stars repeat the magic of 2010? Can they get out of this group? Can Semenyo be the star to light up this tournament? We've got the man to help us answer all of that as we continue our conversations from the previous part. Carl Anka is a football writer who knows this game inside out, the tactics, the stories, the stakes, and today he's walking us through everything you need to know about Group L. This is the 50-50 Football Podcast. This is the World Cup. My name is Kelvin Owusu-Ansah, and I'm doing this with Mangana Nasari and Kweku Safo-Mensah Didi. Let's get into it. Hello, gentlemen. Carl.
Hello.
How have you been?
Busy but good. How are you?
Yeah, but it's great. I'm very fine. Just that, World Cup brings you less time to rest and a lot more writings, a lot more videos, a lot more talk to do. Nasari.
Yeah. I am gearing up for the excitement of the tournament. Yeah, the build-up in the US has not been too bad, but I think they could do better because I'm not really experiencing the fanfare and atmosphere a lot. Maybe
speak for your city. Those of us in Philly, we are having a ball. We are having a ball in Philly. Check this out. It's out to us and extend.
Yeah, we're also having fanfares in Boston. Like, we're having a couple of fun events in Boston as well.
Speak for your ball in Philly. But interesting enough, I'm recording today from Toronto. So I'm in downtown Toronto. Right in front of City Hall,
great.
And FIFA has a little fun pitch, let me put it that way, and they actually captured my friend to wedding, so he's going to be on TV, so that's interesting. So
that's nice.
The build-up in Toronto is also, I'll say it's gaining momentum. I drove past the BMO Stadium that's going to host Ghana versus Panama and a couple of other matches, and they just wrapped up a bit of construction work over there, so interesting times ahead. We have 6 days or less to kick off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really looking forward to it.
Well, looking forward to it, but we need to quickly get into the group. Starting from the Black Star squad, the final 26. Benjamin Asare, Lawrence Atizigi, Jose Fernandez, goalkeepers. There is Derek Lucasen, Abdul Women, Jonas Ajete, Kojo Pompepra, and Jeremy Poko in central defense. Barbara Mann and then Gideon Mensah left back, and there is Ali Seidu and Marvin Senaya at right back. In midfield, Thomas Partey, Kwesisi Boy, Elisha Usu, Caleb Irinchi, Augustin Boache. On the flanks, lots of players: Kamaldin Sulemana, Christopher Bunsuba, there's Fatawi Shahako, Enes Nyama, and up front, Antoine Semenyo, Prince Edu Kwabna, Brandon Asante, Thomas Iñaki Williams, and then Jordan Ayew. Carl, I'm sure you've seen this squad. Let's take a look. What's your overview of the final 26-man squad named by Carlos Queiroz?
It's a squad that has been decimated by injury and hasn't had much time to coalesce. Obviously, Otto Addo, I should say, was sacked 78 days before the World Cup, and Carlos Queiroz was parachuted in only in April. The friendly against Wales that happened this week was his very first time getting real training time with the team. 9 players arrived to the Newport training camp on the Monday ahead of the game on the Tuesday. So he's had very limited time to work with his squad. I'd say the big thing is obviously Ghana are missing their 2 best starting centre-backs because Alexander Djuku's been injured on the Russian Cup final with Spartak Moscow. We know Mohamed Salisu wasn't going to make the tournament because he did his ACL. Tariq Lamptey also did his ACL, so he wasn't going to be there. Mohamed Kudus getting the quadriceps setback meant that Ghana are without their 2 best centre-backs. They were without, arguably for me, their best attacking player or most effective attacking player in Kudus. And yet, here we go. There's very little time to deal with many, many, many problems. And I think what Carlos Queiroz has gone for is a squad that he knows he can get a good, solid defensive shape out of. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that, yes, equally there are concerns, but I think that he could have included a couple of other players. Maybe a left back, there are still reservations about the inclusion of Barbaram. And I think Arthur Cohn, had become one of the favorites at left back to
fans' favorite.
The tournament not just fan favorites. I think that he's really been okay this season. Maybe you may bank on Barber's experience at the World Cup at the biggest stage, but I still think that he should have had a shot. In midfield, Ghana still looks very light. I think Ibrahim Sulemana could have been, named in the squad. And then Joseph Painsil, I seriously think he should have been in the squad. Maybe someone will ask who goes out. I think Kamaldeen Sulemana doesn't offer too much for the Black Stars, and he should have been off for Joseph Painsil to make the squad. Aside that, I think that I'm okay with what he's put up because we don't have, many choices. We don't have, lots of players to pick from. And just like you mentioned, the few that we had and we thought could be good for us they are injured presently and cannot make the team. So that is the only thing he can work with. We failed as a nation to, build a team or give avenue to build players. And probably, I think one name, Majid Ashmeru, I think he could have made it, but probably Carlos Queiroz just looked at him and looked at Augustin Boache and decided, come on, let me pick Augustin Boache. He might probably do a decent job for me, better than what, the rest will do. But I'm sure we've had our own reservation, but I don't know if Kweku and Nanasari would have, a bite at this, just maybe a couple of seconds, and then we delve into what you saw in Wales because you were live and you watched the game. Kweku Asari, any reservations about the squad?
For me, I mean, this is what we have. It's not as if we have any. How would I put it? This is the best we can put up for now. I think Carl went through the list. We've been ravaged by injuries. We've lost a lot of our, top players, top performers. Salisu and Djuku, they formed the partnership since 2022, I believe. So for the past 4 years, they have matched out the defense for Ghana. Yeah, they've matched out the defense for Ghana. We've lost Kudus, our star boy. Like Carl said, our best attacking player. So I think that's what we have. You mentioned Majid Ashmeru. Physically, he's not there. He's not fit. We saw him against the friendly against Mexico. Whenever he's on the ball, we see the brilliance. But when he's off it, he's not part of the game. And unfortunately, for the sort of team that we have, we can't carry passengers, especially in our midfield, where quote unquote Partey might be a passenger in the midfield because he's lost a bit of the pace that he had a couple of years ago. We need players who would run. We need players who would work hard, especially off the ball, because we would not be a possession side. We are going to be very horrible to play against. We are going to be very compact to play mid to low block. We are going to be a transition side. So, unfortunately, Majid doesn't fit the bill for this task. And, I like Majid. I mentioned him a couple of episodes ago that I would love to see him in a midfield trial with Partey and Caleb. But, for what we have to do now, unfortunately, he's not the guy. So I really can't say much about the squad, honestly. I think this is what we have. This is the best we have. People are talking about Derek Pond. He had an assist against Germany, but I wasn't impressed, honestly. I really, really wasn't impressed. Playing in Germany versus Germany, I thought he would be the star man, especially when, he grew up in Germany, plays in the Bundesliga for Union Berlin. He's trained in the academy with a lot of these players. I thought he was going to really step up on that day. Yeah, but unfortunately, he was one of our poor performers on the day. Yes, he made the assist for the goal that Shatta who scored, but he really wasn't the guy for me. So I really can't say much about the squad. We wish them all the very best. We will be supporting. We'll be in the stadium for vibes. We'll be in the stadium for the vibes, and not so much for the football or with high expectations.
That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, as you all have said, you've all documented that this is virtually like the best squad we could put up. Yes, you can make some cases for certain players, but in the case of Joseph Pencil, actually, because he also has issues with the GFA, I didn't think they were going to call him up even when they changed managers, because the GFA wasn't going to allow them to pick him after he had made certain inflammatory statements against them. So Carlos Queiroz has picked the squad that he feels can do a job for him. And we just have to hope that, just like every other World Cup, there's always heroes to be made in every World Cup. And then hopefully we will make some heroes from our current squad. That is all we can actually hope for at this time.
All right. Now let's move on and get to the Wales game. It ended 1-0. Wales won, Ghana won. Caleb Rinchi's goal after a very positive attacking moment from Enes Miyama. His impact and attacking threats, but a defensive lapse, in the final minutes of the game allowed Wales to get back into the game when Liverpool's youngster managed to get the equalizer for Wales. Ghana's winless run heading into the tournament, 5 in the last 5 friendlies. It's all been, losses, and we managed to stop the losing streak, all right, but we are still winless. Carlos Queiroz first game as head coach. Carl, you were present. Tell us about your first impressions of Carlos Queiroz, his first game as a head coach. Positive, scored depth, pace and attack, where there are liabilities and, where game, the team needs improvement. What do you make of, that game?
Well, I'd say Carlos Queiroz is probably using Iran as a soft blueprint. So he managed Iran to the last 3 World Cups. They were in England's group in the 2022 World Cup. They beat Wales, they lost to the United States, and they lost to England. Now, Queiroz is an incredibly well-experienced international football manager. He's also had experience in the club game. He was most notably being the assistant manager to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United when they won the Champions League. He also had time as an assistant coach and eventually the head coach of Real Madrid for a brief period of time. But in terms of international football, he's well known for his time at Iran, his time in charge for Oman, his time in charge of Egypt, his time in charge of the United Arab Emirates. And he is very well known for a style of football that is very glibly described on the internet as suffer ball. So football that sacrifices creativity for control and tries to minimize the amount of chaos in football matches. That basically goes, Carlos Queiroz will look into a team, very often the underdog, and go, we're not very good. So what we're going to try and do is limit the amount of football either team plays. And then hopefully we can get a lucky bounce from a counter-attack and beat you. And what you saw from Ghana in Cardiff was a team that was set up in a 4-2-3-1. I have no idea why the tactical formations we got were handed out in a 3-4-3, but it was very much a 4-2-3-1. And it was a very stubborn team. One that didn't put too much pressure on the ball when Wales had the ball high up. Didn't want to press high outside maybe 2 or 3 movements from Jordan Ayew. And then when they defended, it was a defense that was a 4-5-1 and they defended like a Christmas tree. So very, very much saying if Wales were going to make some passes, they were going to have to do it out wide and cross the ball in. And hopefully Ghana's centre-backs, Ghana's defenders would be strong enough to stop each and every cross. Wales finished the first half with 71% possession. And at halftime, I was thinking, this is looking bad for Ghana. And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, and I'm not advising any of you to bet, you would think from that first half performance that Harry Kane is a very, very likely person to win the Golden Boot, because he could very easily get a hat-trick against Ghana, get a hat-trick against Panama, and then win the Golden Boot for the rest of the tournament. But then, a couple of second half changes. Thomas Partey comes off, Kwasi Sibo comes on, Caleb Yenchi comes on as well. As does Ernest as well, who you mentioned earlier. And Ghana looked better, stronger. They get one counter-attack and they score a goal, Caleb Yancey putting the goal in, and all of a sudden there's a 5-10 minute period where Ghana look like a real football team. They look like they can play football. And you're seeing this is why Carlos Queiroz has the reputation he has, where there can be games where you are getting 29% possession and you're completely out of it, but you get one chance, you get a goal, and then maybe you can hang on and get a result. I'd say the draw deflates things. It could have been a very famous victory for Ghana and really, sort of stop the tailspin of Ghanaian football. But I'd say leaving Ninian Park on Tuesday, I was thinking Ghana aren't necessarily going to embarrass themselves at the World Cup. And that was a fear I had maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, where you're looking at a team that had 78 days before the World Cup. They sacked their manager. Carlos Queiroz had maybe 60 days, and this was his very, very first training camp. There are still questions over who's going to be the number one goalkeeper. I think there's going to be questions over who's going to be the central midfielder who plays next to Thomas Partey. And indeed, should Thomas Partey even be playing? There's questions about how the team is going to want to attack in open play. But I think the defensive structure is there, and the defensive structure is better than what it was under Otto Addo.
Yeah, that is actually one of the things I actually noticed. Like, I know outside of Carl, the boys here know I'm not a fan of Otto Addo. I mean, even from the first time he was appointed, I was like, yeah, this is not a coach that can take us anywhere. So I've never been on his side. So I was glad when the sacking occurred and then we had to change, even though I thought it came several years too late. Okay. But even with just like a few days of training, you could tell how different the team was playing as opposed to how we played under Otto Addo. So just like you stated in the second half on how we were attacking, and even in the first half, the way you could tell like they were playing like they wanted to make sure that we are not going to let Wales get the opportunities to score. I didn't like how they defended the corners against Wales, but they had a decent shape and it was okay. And in the second half, the boys did really do well. Nyama coming on, Caleb Yancey, they added a bit more pace and a bit more attacking verve to the team. And I like the way we looked trying to, counter and then be more direct, especially Nyama. Anytime he got on the ball, he was more direct, trying to create something. And I felt I hadn't seen the Black Stars play like that in a long time. In fact, since Otto Addo took over, I haven't seen the Black Stars play like they played under Carlos Queiroz. And I think if they can play to instructions and also, make use of all the chances that they have, because make no bones about it, we are not going to get a lot of chances, so we can't afford to miss them. So we'll need to take every opportunity that we get in every game, and we also need to not make any defensive lapses or allow other strikers and opposition players to, get an advantage on the defenders. We have to be sharp and we have to be on point. But I love the way the boys played in the game. It felt like there's hope again, as opposed to what we've been seeing in the past 2-3 years.
So you say you weren't really a fan of Otto Addo. Can you explain a little bit more why, for people that aren't watching Ghana every single qualifying match?
Yeah, so for Otto Addo, in terms of coaching pedigree, he hasn't been a coach. I mean, he's been a scout. He's been around Borussia Dortmund. He doesn't have the pedigree as a coach to coach a team with the players that we have and kind of have different tactical ways of adapting to the opponents that he plays against. It almost feels like he just chooses the 11 that he wants to play with, and he has one style, and that is it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it never filled me with any, It never filled with me excitement. It never filled me with any confidence. Even in the first round, when he was appointed the first time for the qualifier against Nigeria, that we went into Nigeria and won, it wasn't as a result of Ghana playing any exceptional football. It was a long-range effort that the keeper should have saved. And they just allowed the ball to trickle in, and Nigeria, just being as hapless as they have been, couldn't equalize and then eventually win the game. But that's been the Otto Addo story. I mean, we did well in the qualifiers, but even in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, we were terrible. But somehow we managed to qualify for the World Cup. It was just not, you just couldn't tell what Ghana you were going to get game by game. You just couldn't tell.
Well, it's quite interesting. There was less conviction seeing Otoado's team play, and lacked that intent. You couldn't see any pattern. You couldn't see whether they wanted to defend, whether they wanted to attack, whether whether it was a mid-block team, a low-block team, a team that had to high press or, mid-press. Very, very little, understanding of what he wanted to do. It was more like every now and then new things which were not working for the players. But this time around, I could see a team where there was a bit more coordination, especially in central defense. The midfield, Thomas Partey and, Elisha couldn't give a lot more. And I think I have an issue with that. If this is how Elisha is going to play, then Carl, just like you mentioned, and I mentioned Ibrahim Sulemana, these two, should have been swapped for each other, because Ibrahim Sulemana, we see, adds a lot more to his game than what Elisha also gives the team. But I think with, the introduction of Ernest Nyama and Caleb Yuenchi, you could clearly see, the best up front, the energy, the vibe, and the counter breaks that Carlos Queiroz always wants his team to take advantage of. And football has been about moments. And if you listen to him, it's not about how dominant you are in terms of possession. And I'm sure, it's the same thing that was evident on the pitch. Maybe there are few things that, needs to talk about. And just like he said, the Black Stars players have come to, just be content with allowing teams bully them or get past them easily. And he said it, that some of his players are just too nice. But in this world of football, the current world of football, you need to be a bit ruthless. You need to be a bit unforgiving, for you to succeed. You can't stay meticulous, Mary, and get it right. You need that edge, that energy, that, aggression to get things going. I think that is what, the team needs to adapt to. And gradually, if you look at how Daniel James was marauding down, Gideon Mensah's, position, the left side of Ghana's defense in the opening 30 minutes, but just before halftime, and then just, I think, 10, 15 minutes after their break, it was much more controlled, and you couldn't see those runs again, all because Gideon decided to put in a lot more aggression into his game to get, Daniel James off his mark. But I think equally it's been good. Just that, as we said, Otoado never gave any promise, but you see Carlos Queiroz and you can understand that, yes, this is how the manager wants to play. And you could understand, Carl, trust me, if it was Otoado, we wouldn't have seen the number of substitutes we saw on the day.
Okay.
And with the substitutions, it would have affected them from the 80th minute onward. And how do you test players? How do you give players ample time, to make you convinced that they can do a job for you? And I think that has been Ghana's problems in not finding suitable replacements and solutions to players who have gotten injured. And we are now trying to fine-tune some of the players into different roles. So, lo and behold, maybe things can get better. But Carl, what must Ghana improve before facing Panama in the World Cup opener?
Good question. What must they improve? Quite a bit. I'd say, if you to carry on what we've been discussing about Otoado, one thing I felt for basically since 2021 even is I am very unsure as to how Ghana want to attack. I'd say the 2021 AFCON, the 2023 AFCON, both of the plans there seem to be give it to Kudus and hope. The 2022 World Cup, the game plan seemed to be counter-attack, but with not many numbers as well. And I'd say one thing that has been a problem for quite some time is Ghana aren't necessarily blessed with defenders, which means they sit quite deep towards their own box, whether they want to or not. And the opportunities they do want to attack, the timing is very often off. And Carlos Queiroz mentioned this himself in the post-match press conference. He said there were maybe 2 or 3 times where the opportunity was available for us to pass, but the pass didn't quite come off, where the player paused on the ball and then you look up and the opportunity to make that pass is gone. Or the opposite, where necessarily Ghana have an opportunity and they rush forward. But because of the fact that Ghana very often sit deep, when Ghana do get an attack, it's maybe with two players. And what you ideally want is a football player who can hold on to the ball for a second or two and wait for the reinforcements to arrive. But what happens is that player will rush. And I think a good example of this was when Ghana was 1-0 up against Wales. There was another opportunity. So Ernest has the ball. Once again, he's running down the right-hand side, passes it along. And please forgive me, I forget who the attacker was. But the ball comes to him and he absolutely, positively has enough time to take another touch of the ball. But he shoots first time and he's off balance and he's leaning back and the shot goes high and wide and you're going, oh,
Brandon
no.
Brandon Asante, yeah. That was Brandon Asante.
Yes. So Brandon Asante absolutely has an opportunity to take another touch, to really take another touch, take it forward a little bit. He doesn't have to hit this first time, but he hits it first time. You're going, this is the point. There was a point so Craig Bellamy did his post-match press conference first, and he was asked by a member of Ghanaian press who said, during your career, you scored quite a few goals from outside the box, and to which Bellamy went, no, I didn't. And then he was asked, we don't really see Wales do that. And Bellamy, who was in a very chatty, very charismatic mood, explained that what he said, while I know that Ghanaian football fans get quite excited from shots from outside the box and can get quite excited when the winger cuts inside and you think, okay, shoot from 35 yards out. He says, as the Wales manager, as the opposition manager, that makes me happy. Because if you're taking all of your shots from 35 yards, you're not really working the spaces properly. And if that shot goes off target, that gives me time to reset, take a goal kick, get back into structure as well. So I think the timing and the attack very much needs work. Like you said before, Ghana are not going to have many opportunities to score goals in this World Cup. I'd say they're probably going to get maybe 2 shots per half, tops. And the thing is to make sure these shots are on target rather than speculative efforts. The Ghana ideally want to run at pace at a disorganized defense, a defense that isn't really, really set. And when you're doing that, you've got to make sure your decision-making in the final third is absolutely A1. This is why missing Kudus is going to be really, really hard, because I think Kudus has some of the better decision-making among the Ghana squad. I think this means Semenyo is going to have a really difficult task, because he will probably be one of the 2 players that gets the ball in the final third when you're breaking. And he can either wait for reinforcements and then try and play the ball into them, or he's going to have the chances where he's like, well, I have to take this on early. And luckily, because he's 2-footed, it's not going to be a thing of I have to take this on my weaker foot, because he doesn't really have one. But he's going to find it quite difficult. I think him in particular will find it difficult, because if you are England, if you are Croatia, you're just going to double team him at all points in time. Surely you just go, Semenyo's their best attacking player, send 2 people on Semenyo at all points in time. And then if it's Inaki Williams, if it's Kamaldeen Sulemana, I'll take that risk, because those players can be inefficient. So these are the big questions here. Who's going to be your goalkeeper? Who's going to be in central midfield next to Thomas Partey? And how are we going to attack in open play? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I think, for me, Thomas Partey would, if Ghana is going to rely on him to do a lot more of the creative work from midfield, then he needs players who are going to do the legwork for him, which means he would need someone as industrious as Caleb Urenchi, or maybe Kwesi Sibot to sit. But is he the best defensive midfielder you can trust to shield your defense? That is a no-no. We've seen him at Real Oviedo. We've seen him in the Black Stars. He doesn't offer, that much greatness as years ago, when you could have Anthony Annan, you could have probably Eric Addo, you could have Michael Essien, you could have Emmanuel Ajimanbedu, Mubarak Wakasu. That is not the same thing we have in our team, now. And I think that maybe to play Caleb Urenchi, Thomas Partey, and one of Sebo or Elisha, but I wouldn't pick Elisha. I would think that Sebo does the job for me, because
now Sebo is physical. He's
when
physical.
He came on in
he's
the
very destructive, but he does not pass. Yes. He's not great at passing the ball forward.
Exactly, but I think that is something that you would want, because when you have a lot more ball carriers, you have Thomas Partey, and I wish he plays Ernest Nuama, who would carry the ball a lot more. You have Jordan Ayew, you have Antoine Semenyo, who can do a decent run with the ball. I think that you should be okay. All he needs to do is to understand, I am not great at passing, so what do I do? Once I win the ball, the next thing is look for the man who would be able to do what? run through the blocks or get our passing channels, sorted. And I think that if you put him there, he does a job for you, because I can't see Thomas Partey doing a lot more of the legwork if you partner him with a player who would always, leave him behind. And just as we saw, he himself and Elisha were miles apart in that opening half, and that resulted in him making those sliding tackles, because psychologically we all know Partey is going through it, and I'm sure he was trying to make an impact. He was trying to prove a point, especially after all the boos. He's human. It will get to him. You may think that, yes, he might probably have a psychologist working on him, but he's human. It was clearly telling in the game that he was trying to prove a point. And I think that if you have, players who do the legwork for him, he can do at least a decent 50, 55, 60 minutes for you, and then you can have other players. Because sincerely, if you take Thomas Partey out of that creative midfield, the next player you can bank your hopes on is Caleb Yunchi to do a lot more, or probably Enes Nyama to come and pick the ball from deeper lines, just like he did in that goal, and then create for you. But how many times would you have those turnovers for your player to, get into that sort of run and get, to the final third of the pitch? And I think that is a bit problematic. And left back, we still have issues. Neither of the left backs are, gives you that confidence and reliability. Marvin Senai, I think, made a good shout for himself.
Yep.
Alidu will need to fight him, because I think he offers something better in attack than what Alidu does. And Alidu is not too convincing defensively, and I think that Senai did some quite decent job defensively. Maybe Thomas may not be the player you would want to test your right back with, but I think that he did, a good job. Maybe when Semenyo gets into the team, maybe when Enes Nyama starts instead of Fatawu Saaku, you may have a direct attack, from the wide areas, and Jordan Ayew will lead, in that position, or probably Jordan plays right behind maybe Edu Kabna or Brandon Asante. We'll leave it for Carlos Queiroz, because we all know he wants a team that would be very industrious. So if you're lazy, it's going to be very problematic. And I think with goalkeeping, every now and then I get convinced that Lawrence Atizigi should start ahead of Benjamin Asari. Benjamin Asari still lacks a number of things. When opponents decide to cross the ball a lot more times, Ghana is going to find trouble. And especially when you're facing an England team where crosses will come from, wide areas, you would expect Harry Kane, the likes of Jude Bellingham and others to be getting to the end of it. And if your goalkeeper cannot get into, picking up deliveries inside the goalkeeper's area, then that clearly smacks of, basic goalkeeping deficiency there. And I think Atizigi, despite not being too convincing or ships in a lot of goals, but he does, a much more decent job. And in the last game, he's proven that he should be the safest pair of hands. So I think that settles it for me. But there are still a lot more training sessions for the team. And Queiroz himself has said he's going to better what he's seen and what he's witnessed from the team. I don't know if Asari has any contributions here on that. Yeah, what do you make of the team, and how do you think we should set up?
Look, I actually have a question for both of you, actually.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Just as we were talking about the midfield especially, I thought Partey looked off the pace. He should have got a red card for that second tackle. And yes, we do need legs around him if he is the one that's going to start. But what I'm also looking at is we are not necessarily blessed with enough players that can make an impact. So I'm actually thinking in the sense that if you do start Caleb Yunchi alongside Partey, do you trust that if you need something different, or you need, let's say you are behind the goal and you need more energy, or you need something, and Caleb is not being able to offer that within the game, do you trust to bring Sibo on or Elisha on to come and, do their job, or to bring that aggression in midfield to kind of get you going? I feel like there's something to be said to have good enough players or players on the bench who can make an impact, rather than starting them and then you have no one to come and make an impact on the game when you need someone to do so. What do you think about that?
I think your best foot forward.
Honestly?
You don't delay. Your best foot forward. You don't
honestly,
wait till the game almost gets out of your hand before you try to redeem yourself. No, put your best foot forward.
Honestly, this is one of those questions that you've got your regulation answer that I'd give you throughout the season, but the fact that we are playing in North American heat in games that are going to have water breaks and quarters in a World Cup tournament where winning one game with a goal difference of +2 might be enough. You don't know. You honestly don't know. And yes, I do agree. I think you want to put your first foot forward. And I think if these games are going to have these water breaks, I think the third quarter, that 15 to 20 minutes after halftime, you will see very little football being played there.
Yeah.
I think you'll see teams try and start quickly, and then try and get to halftime with the score intact, and then start the second half slowly. And then in the final 20 minutes, you just go all out.
All right.
So it's about modulating your own pace. And I think the way we are talking, I trust Caleb Yarenchi more than I trust Thomas Partey. I think the Thomas Partey situation has become an unnecessary distraction and unnecessary ailment from a Ghana team that many people want to support, not just from Ghana, but also many neutrals.
Yeah.
That has become quite difficult. I asked Carlos Queiroz about whether or not he had any concerns about the fact that he was booed in Wales, and did he have any concerns about how he'd be received in North America. And Queiroz gave me an answer that said I should be more concerned about the fact that in the modern world with social media, people talk with total impunity and say horrible, barbaric things. I think Thomas Partey right now, in a pure footballing sense, does not look ready to play football.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same ability that he did 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes,
and if you are going to play so much of football through him, I'm not sure if that's a wise decision to make. And I would be quite comfortable if he wasn't included in the squad. If we are going to do this with him, if the Ghanaian national team wants to select him, I think that is going to cause some problems because, as you said, the squad options outside of Partey are a sort of pick your poison scenario.
Yeah.
You can either pick Caleb Yarenchi, who is very, very young, Sibu, who is more defensively minded, not the best passer, or someone else, Elisha, who is fine, I'd say. So there are definite problems in midfield, and there are definitely problems that very often if you go back home, or if you're when I'm talking to my fellow countrymen, there is a sort of a shrug and a smile and like, hey, don't worry, it will be okay on the night approach to things. And I'm not quite sure Ghana should be taking this approach to the World Cup, in that it will be okay on the night doesn't quite work on an international football tournament where you're up against two of the strongest European teams.
Yeah, I think you're getting that response because they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's more like, okay. I hope something happens. It's like, I just hope something happens. Like some way, somehow they get it together, and some way, somehow one of the players decides that I'm going to be a world beater. That's just what their hopes are. Like, it'll be fine on the day. Let's just hope on the day we're able to at least represent ourselves properly. And not,
it's a big gamble, isn't it?
Yep. But that's the squad we have. We don't have enough in the squad. So there's not really a lot of confidence in it, especially when we've not had the time to also prepare enough. So it's more like we are here. This is what we have. Hopefully, by some divine design, they might put something together and something might happen. And in football, maybe the heat might favor some, might not favor others. Maybe we can get an early goal and then make it a very, very terrible game of football, stoppages throughout, make sure that we are just hoping for something. I don't think a lot of the support think that when they're coming to see Ghana, play a front foot kind of football, attacking football, or even play anywhere close to the football we displayed in 2006 and 2010, or even 2014, where we weren't that bad, but a lot of the off the pitch issues was the reason for Ghana's abysmal performance.
Before we go to look at our first game, quickly from your interaction with Carlos Queiroz and then, the players who play the game, do you have a sense that they are willing to do battle, and do you trust the team to actually provide something better, a respectable performance at the World Cup based on what you saw in Wales?
So there was a chance in the first half where Jordan Ayew managed to snatch a weak back pass, and he was in.
Yeah.
And then he took the ball too wide and he couldn't quite score. And it reminded me of Inaki Williams' chance against Portugal in the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah.
Ghana has a lot of football players that you can describe as hardworking. I think you can never question the application of Ghanaian football players, be it 2022, 2014, everything else. Ghana's players work hard, and that application will get you to a certain point. Now, you use the word respectable, and I think the respectability comes from the work ethic rather than necessarily the football technique, if that makes sense. So Jordan Ayew works hard enough that he can turn a bad back pass into a goal-scoring opportunity. Jordan Ayew, unfortunately, doesn't always have the attacking ability to turn that opportunity that he made into a goal. And that's going to be the knife edge Ghana have through this entire tournament, is that there will be a moment where the ball will bounce favorably for a Ghana player in the final third, and you go, take it. And if you don't, that could be the whole tournament.
Yep.
So as I said before, Craig Bellamy was asked post-match about what he thought of Ghana's chances. And Bellamy said he thinks the team's he said, I thought the team's good. I've been to Ghana before. I watched them in 2010. Mm-hmm. And he says, I think a lot of your tournament is going to be decided by that game against Panama. He goes, if you can win the game against Panama, then maybe the positive momentum can carry you into a draw against one of Croatia and England. Mm-hmm. Or if you win against Panama and you defend properly in those two games, then your goal difference will be good enough. Carlos Queiroz says that the entire plan is to get to the second round. He goes, the second round is the real business. That's when the show really begins at the World Cup. And I think, again, because it's a 48-team tournament, and because of this nature of third place finishes, it's very hard to who these third place finishes will be up until, I'd say, 80% of these group stage games are going to be finished.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So it's about making sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot. And my concern with Ghana specifically is I think Ghana have enough in them to beat Panama narrowly. I'm not sure if they have enough in them to keep that goal difference good enough after playing England and Croatia. So I can see a situation where Ghana beat Panama 2-1, shall we say, and then lose by multiple goals against one of England or against one of Croatia. And that goal difference is then -2. And that won't be enough to get out of the group stage. I don't see this Ghana team scoring more than 2 goals in I don't see this Ghana team scoring more than 2 goals in a game. I'm not sure if this Ghana team can score a goal in a defeat. And that's going to be the difficult bit. I understand that when Ghana lost to Austria, someone in the Panamanian camp said, "Oh, we have a chance at this World Cup now," or words to that effect. And I think this is it. It's good that Ghana versus Panama is the first game.
Yeah.
And that means both teams are going to come out swinging because it will define your entire tournament.
Yeah. I think both teams know that to qualify, they have to win that game.
Absolutely.
And just like you said, unless about 80% of the games are played, we won't know who the best third place teams are going to be, because there's also a lot. There are 8 third best place teams that are going to make it.
There is so much football going to be played before we reach the round of 16.
Yep. So we definitely do need to win the game against Panama. And if we are able to get a draw, then you are more than assured of a qualification. If you don't get a draw, then you definitely need to, get your goal difference down enough that you will probably be one of the last teams in the 8 to qualify to get in. But it seems like very tall order considering we have Croatia and England in the group. And I think the result of that game, that first game, will also have an impact on the second round of games, because if England lose against Croatia or England win against Croatia, their disposition again in the second game will be different. And if Ghana also wins against Panama, or they lose against Panama, their disposition in the second game will be different. So I think there's a lot of machinations that will be going on in terms of how the teams approach their second games, considering that each of them have to win their their first game to kind of feel, I will qualify.
Yep.
Oh. So now, before we come to England and Croatia, but Carl, do you see Ghana getting past Panama?
I hope.
Yep, we all hope.
I hope. I think Panama have just a little bit more longevity, and the very limited time Queiroz has had to work with the squad means I hope more than I expect.
Now, with Croatia, how dangerous are they in tournament football? Because you know that pre-tournament, they normally struggle, but they find their way to qualify for the tournament. But how dangerous can they be when they get to the tournament level? And how impactful do you still see Luka Modrić as going to be impactful, experience versus a bit of athleticism from Ghana, but lethargy in midfield because Modrić and Partey, but obviously Modrić seems a bit, mobile and energetic than a younger Thomas Partey.
Isn't that a ridiculous sentence to say? A 40-year-old Luka Modrić still has more energy and mobility than however many. Look, Luka Modrić, in my opinion, is one of the best football players we've seen in world football for this century. He's, to my mind, top 5 Champions League player of all time. A Champions League player, specifically. We did a thing at The Athletic not too long ago where we had to draft the World Cup team, and I drafted Luka Modrić to mine because I think his body of work across World Cup tournaments has been tremendous too. We know what we're going to get with Croatia. We're going to get a team that has a lot of very technically adept central midfielders, and this is a team that can use possession as a defensive tool as well as a offensive one, in that they are very, very good at just killing off 20 minutes of a football match by taking the ball away from you. The old Johan Cruyff term of, well, they can't score if you have the ball. And they're very good at that. They're very adept at that. Obviously, it's not the peak Croatia team that you may have seen in 2018 because Kovacic is not the player he used to be.
Perisic.
Perisic is not there. Ivan Rakitic isn't there anymore. Perisic, I think he's still in the squad.
Yeah, he's still in the squad.
But Perisic he had done his ACL. He's not the player he used to be. So this is a team that, by most betting odds, are expected to come out of the group as well, along with England. And this is if Ghana, I think Ghana's thing here is hoping that Croatia aren't going to chase goals, if that makes sense. If you're going to think about this like an economist, you're going to go, okay, if Croatia beat us, they're going to beat us 1-0 or 2-0. They're not going to try and go for 4-0. So this is the defeat that we can handle. And this is going to be a game that maybe we can open up just a little bit to try and get a draw. Of England and Croatia, I think Ghana are more likely to get a draw here because of the fact that this Croatian team isn't necessarily the strongest. However, I mean, we're still talking, and they've got a player like Josko Gvardiol who, if he crashes the back post, he's going to be such a goal threat. This is a Croatia team that they won bronze at the last World Cup. I think they won bronze at the last World Cup. They won bronze in 1998. They're 2 bronze medalists at World Cups, which I find fascinating too. So write them off at your peril. This is probably the last edition of the Croatia team as you currently know it, and then the torch will eventually be passed to Gvardiol and others.
Sorry, any words?
I don't know. Carl has said it all with the Croatia team. This is going to be their last iteration of the old guard. And if you're going to start Perisic and Luka Modrić, I mean, you would say if you do have the boys being a bit more energetic, you can't get some change out of them in terms of getting a draw. But if you're going to get a draw, then you must have won. If you have lost the first 2 games or you drew the first game and lost the second, then you need more than that. But Croatia are always a formidable side, and they always grow in tournaments. So it being your last game, you would hope that when it gets there, you already have 3 points, and your best bet would be hope that they also have enough points that they are not as interested in in banging the goals in as you would need the goal difference to qualify.
It's an old team. You're looking at Luka Modrić is 40, Ivan Perisic is 37, Kramaric is 34, Budimir is 34 as well. And again, in this North American heat, these these are football players that aren't going to run for 90 minutes. But the concern is Croatia know that. So they go, well, we're not going to run. We're going to make you run by passing and circulating the ball in a certain fashion. So you cannot let Croatia get into their rhythm. You have to score early. And I think particularly with this Ghana team, if Ghana are going to get anything from their matches, they have to score the first goal in every single match.
But that's the thing. We never look like we play on the front foot.
In every single match. I do not think the way Carlos Queiroz wants to set Ghana up, they're equipped to chase a game.
Yeah.
If they score first, then the opposition has to come onto them to get the equalizer. And that opens up more opportunity to go get the counter-attack goal. If they go a goal down against Croatia, that game is over.
Yep.
Unless, of course, Ghana can manufacture a corner and Jordan Ayew can put it on someone's head. But even then,
that is a very, very tall order because we are not even that good at set pieces. That's the thing. Like,
no, that's unfair. I think Ghana's set piece threat was very, very good in World Cup qualifying. Yeah. Jordan Ayew got 7 goals, 7 assists, and I think that's because the set piece has gotten much better. The problem is, of course, now the set piece threat used to be Juku and Salisu, and it's not there anymore. So. Yeah. How you rework your set pieces is going to be difficult. But yeah, like I say, I think Ghana have to score the first goal against Panama. They have to score the first goal against England, and they have to score the first goal against Korea. If they don't score the first goal against England, that game is a forfeit, essentially.
Right. Now, I think England, are they tournament favorites? And who are the key players Ghana must be concerned about or concerned of, Carl?
Are they the favourites? Look, I'm talking to you from Manchester, England. The conversation isn't necessarily can England win, but the expectation is always there. Thomas Tuchel is very, very clear. He's the England manager, and he said his goal was to put a second star on the shirt. Most metrics, so if you talk to Opta Supercomputer, England are behind Spain and France in terms of favourites for winning it, but they are regarded by many as being among the top 8 teams at this World Cup. 8 nations that have very reasonable expectation to make the quarterfinals at the very, very least, and then have the potential to go past the quarterfinals from that stage. And I think England are among that select band. I have more confidence in England reaching the quarterfinal than, say, the Netherlands or Germany, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, how do you think people felt when the squads were officially released? Because I know a lot of people were like, especially having players like Cole Palmer, Gibbs White, and some of the players they thought would make it into the squad, Maguire and all of that, not making it. Did it kind of dampen people's expectations of them thinking, okay, England should be in the final?
I think it did a little bit, but this is also a very good example of how your own personal opinion of the national team can be very, very different from what the manager has made very, very clear. And to my mind, Thomas Tuchel has made it very, very clear in every single international break that the England team is built around Harry Kane.
Yeah.
The England team is built around Harry Kane. And if you look at that England squad, the question you need to go is can that player get the most out of Harry Kane? And every single answer there is yes. And I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm a Manchester United reporter. I thought, based on the Premier League season we've just had, a Premier League season that was all about set-piece play and was about rugged 1v1 battles, Harry Maguire should make the England squad. Yeah, and I thought, at least for the set-piece threat, in that if you put Maguire in there, he's got very good aerial ability, and I think he's much better in the air compared to Mark Guehi. Yeah. However, Thomas Tuchel, if you go back to, I think in November, he said Maguire has his abilities, but in terms of mobility, he thinks that Trevor Shabala was ahead of him, Levi Colwill was ahead of him, and therefore Maguire perhaps wasn't necessarily going to make it. And then I also think Maguire's reaction to not being selected made clear to me that Maguire would have felt, I don't think Maguire would have been comfortable being a 4th choice centre-back on England camp. Yeah. And especially during the South years, they use this term, a good tourist, which is this idea of if you're going to go away on an international football tournament, you're going to be away for 7 weeks. And you need to be someone where hopefully you can contribute on the playing sense. But if you're not playing, you in the hotel, you in the training ground, you doing things, you're still being positive. You're still bringing a good atmosphere and you're still being useful for everyone else. And Harry Maguire, for better or for worse, is a very competitive human being and perhaps isn't the most comfortable being second, third, fourth choice. And I think that's why Maguire didn't get selected. I think Phil Foden has never really had a good England career. I can't really tell you a good England game for Phil Foden. Cole Palmer is playing like he's in a lot of pain right now. He looks as if he needs to get surgery for something. So I can understand why he's not there. And then also other players that I'm going, you should have picked Gibbs White. Is Gibbs White going to play? Not really. So why am I complaining about this too much? Whereas you take a player like Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is in the England squad. Ivan Toney's not going to play a single minute of regulation time. Ivan Toney is there to play the last 15 minutes of extra time and to take a penalty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
so while I absolutely understand every single decision Thomas Tuchel's made, and even the ones that I don't agree with, it works in his own internal logic, and therefore have at it.
Yeah, I actually didn't find it too controversial because I think, what was it? Was it the last round of international friendlies that he said Maguire would be his first choice? Mm-hmm. And I felt if you take him Maguire is either playing or you don't take him at all.
Yep.
Because he's too good to have as a fifth choice centre back. And when he comes to the training, his performances in training, all of that, you'll be forced to either play him. And if you don't play him and things don't go well, then it will all be, you should have brought Maguire on, and it might upset the dressing room in some way, shape or form. So I think him taking the players that he feels are going to do the job for him, and like in terms of how he perceives their, how much they will play and what their contribution is, he's taking the squad that is available to him. So that is good enough for me. But yeah, we definitely would have loved to see more of the Maverick players, but most of those players play the same position, and it makes it difficult. Like, you can't take everyone and then you have deficiencies in other positions when you have players, 4 or 5 different players that play the same position. If you take Gibbs White, Foden, Palmer, all 3 of them, where do you play them?
Yep. And of course, the Trent Alexander-Arnold debate.
Yeah.
I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is a phenomenal football player, but I think he's the biggest victim of playing for a big nation, in that if Trent Alexander-Arnold played for Ghana, for example, the whole team is built around him.
Yeah.
He's probably, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the captain. He plays every single game, and every single player is selected based on Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
But because he plays for England, there is you have a right back like Reece James, who is almost as good as Trent in a lot of things, and also a better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So rather than try and find a way to rebuild the whole team around Trent, just pick Reece James.
Yep.
So there you have it. So I think the best case scenario for Ghana, and I think probably Queiroz and his coaching team are going, let's try and beat Panama. Let's try and get a draw against Croatia. Or let's try and get a tight defeat to Croatia. And then against England, well, we'll just see where the chips fall there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm thinking it's like Panama is the only route to qualification. Like, there is no other route to qualification for if Ghana should draw the Panama game, then it will take probably 2 red cards in one of those games for Ghana to qualify. So it is imperative that we do our best to win the Panama game. And then anything else we get out of those other 2 games is a bonus.
This is it. Okay. Quick question.
Yeah.
Are Ghana going to make the round of 32?
Yes. That is speaking from my heart, not from my head.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking from, I believe Carlos Queiroz will have a plan for Panama. And I believe if the players can execute to his instructions, we will win the Panama game. And I'm hoping that will be enough to get us through.
Well, I think if Ghana is able to get past the Panama hurdle, they should be able to go through. And that's what they have. But if that game goes south, then
then we're packing our bags.
I don't see where the redemption will come.
This is it. So Ghana's entire World Cup is going to be reliant on their very first game
on the 17th.
Yeah. But who knows? Who knows? Normally, the first games, if you fail to do it, who knows? This Croatia team, I'm not sure they are too strong like the previous ones we've seen. So you could make a result if you have the right balance. And I think that, yes, Ghana may have, players, especially up front. If you put together Semenyo, Iñaki Williams, Ernest Tunyama with his plus Caleb, who is one of the, young midfielders, teams in Europe are looking forward to signing. You put together quite a decent, team. I think they should be able to match up and get some decent result. But I think it all starts with Panama. They are obviously on paper the most beatable team you can find.
You're looking for a miracle in Philadelphia.
Well, let's wait and see if that miracle is going to come back. Carl, there are still concerns, especially with, this is something that is, I don't know, it started gaining momentum in Ghana, but I don't know if it's gaining momentum in England too. That, Thomas Partey and his issues, they're trying to play. Do you see players snubbing Partey in the pre-game pleasantries of handshake?
I have no idea. About that. So this was reported in the Times. And I think that's very much going to be a situation where we'll have to see on the game day.
Yep.
Well, let's wait and see if it happens on the game day. Now, let's get into the predictions. I'll start with you, Nana. Sorry. Your predictions. Who wins Group L and who turns runner-up?
So I'm going to speak as a fan in me more than the objective commentator. So the fun in me... I'll give
you the opportunity. The fun in you and then being objective.
The fun in me, England will win the group, but there'll also be a miracle in Philadelphia, so I'll put Ghana second.
Oh!
And then I'll have Croatia coming in third.
Okay. If not the fun in you...
Not the fun in me, England, Croatia, and Ghana, hopefully. In third position, yeah.
Oh, you?
I think this is going to be England top in the group, Croatia second, and then Ghana with a third place that's not good enough to come out of the group.
Okay. Well, I think I'll go by the same predictions. England top in the group, Croatia coming second, Ghana third, but would be in a good stead to qualify as one of the best third place teams. So yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. That's what I think. Now, any questions before we get into the quick fire questions?
I have a question for both of you, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you see upsets in this World Cup?
Oh, loads.
And do you see any of the, almost every World Cup, sometimes we'll have one of the top teams that you thought would probably be...
You're asking me if Germany are going to get knocked out in the group stages again?
More or less, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Germany in the group stages again, but I'm looking at Argentina and I'm going, they're not great. Mm-hmm. Obviously reigning champions, but Alexis McAllister has had a very poor season. He looks physically not what he used to be. Messi, I mean, I was very much on the expectation that Messi wouldn't make it to the World Cup. And yet again, the team seems to be channeled through him. Yeah. I think Lautaro Martinez is a very, very good player, but Martinez can choke or has a history of choking on the biggest Champions League matches. So I don't think England are going to make it very far. I think England are going to get knocked out in the quarterfinals. I don't see Argentina making a deep run. I think this is going to be a tournament that's ultimately won by Spain. And because of the nature of 48 teams, I think there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that gets to the round of 16 without really having been challenged yet. And then the round of 16 is where everything just goes boom. So, yeah. I think the surprises that we'll see, I think Argentina and Brazil will have disappointing tournaments. I think England will probably get knocked out in the quarterfinals. And then I'm looking at a team like Senegal. I'm looking at a team like Japan. I'm looking at a team like maybe even Ivory Coast and going, could you get to the round of 16? Yep. Could you get to the round of 16? Could you have a really good tournament? So, yeah, those are my big sort of predictions.
Yes.
All right. Well, but I think, yes, we should expect surprises. Mentioned that is Japan. I think they are one of the sides many people have kept their eyes off them, but they're really, really a very good team. You shouldn't downplay their capabilities. I think they have a very decent team that could cause, some upsets in there. But there are also some other nations you go to. Do I say what we saw from Cote d'Ivoire? They have a very, very good team. And I think that,
they do.
If you look at the Ivorians, not many would actually pick on them but from what we saw against France, maybe someone would say we're France in full gear, but obviously they've clearly given that indication. Senegal against Brazil, obviously they still have a very good team. Morocco, they are still not the bad side. Algeria are also there. So from the African contingent, I see, some of these teams, performing very well. But I think Sweden will come good, despite their difficulty in qualifying for the tournament. They will come good at the tournament, and nobody should discount them. But my perennial underachievers, Belgium, will continue with their underachievement, and they'll struggle once again at the World Cup. We don't know if Norway, Erling Haaland, will be able to match up with, the quality other teams will provide, because it may not be the same quality he has at Manchester City or Borussia Dortmund to bring his Norwegian side, to the very top. But let's wait and see. But I'm sure that I don't want to presume this, but I'm sensing Argentina and Portugal may see early exits from the competition. Maybe round of 32 or round of 16.
Oh, Portugal.
Go to the quarters. Yeah.
Interesting pick.
Because of the manager.
Mm-hmm. You don't have faith in what's his name?
I've never trusted him. Martinez. No. I've never trusted him. Is he not the one sending 4 goalkeepers to the tournament?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Fair argument. But he always did well with his Belgium teams still got far enough in the World Cup. So
that is what I'm saying. They will get far enough, like a Diego Simeone team. You would think they are going to win. They are going to win. This is their year, and they go to fail. It's the same thing I'm sensing.
All right. I didn't know you were an oracle at this point.
I may not be, but let's see. Well, let's get into the final bits of our discussions for today. Now, Carl, I'll start with you. If put your reputation on the line.
Excuse me. The finalists, I have. Look, I don't even know how these brackets work nowadays, but I think Spain are going to win the World Cup.
Wow! And who is going to be the other finalists?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
The brackets are... All right. Okay, 1 second.
I do believe France can meet Spain in the final.
Okay.
So why don't we do that?
All right, sure. Well, so the ultimate winner is Spain, but the finalists, you think France and Spain will get in there? Dark horse.
Senegal.
Okay. Player of the tournament.
Lamine Yamal.
Wow. Golden boot.
Harry Kane.
Over Mbappe.
Yep. I think Harry Kane's going to win the golden boot just off the group stage, unfortunately.
Right. Young player or revelation of the tournament?
Let me get his pronunciation right. But I think... they'll probably give it... If Yamal wins player of the tournament, he will also win the young player of the tournament. But Bosnia and Herzegovina have 2 fabulous wingers that I think we'll spend a lot of this tournament talking about. One of them plays for RB Salzburg and the other one plays for PSV Eindhoven. And I'm talking to you right now. I've got the copy of World Soccer next to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I can get them. Everyone should be buying the World Cup copy of World Soccer. So Karim Alajibegovic is... Now, forgive me if I got that pronunciation wrong. He is the gentleman at RB Salzburg. And I think he is phenomenal. He's the one who scored a penalty, the winning penalty against Wales. And there's Esmir Barajtekovic, who plays at PSV, and he scored the penalty against Italy. and he is on the right-hand side. And I think both of these young players for Bosnia and Herzegovina, they're going to be linked to the Premier League clubs very soon.
Nice.
Okay. And then, biggest disappointment.
Brazil, unfortunately. And this is weird because this is probably the very first World Cup where we are not talking about Brazil as being one of the favourites. And yet, still, deep down to me, the World Cup is more magical when Brazil are good. Mm-hmm. Or the World Cup is more magical when Brazil play swagger-full football. And I'm not sure Brazil are going to be good or play swagger-full football. So my personal disappointment will be there.
Okay. Do you have any surprise team of the tournament that you think from the outside, aside the dark horse Senegal, but a team that would give us that sort of surprise like Iceland did during the European Championships?
Japan. I think Japan are going to shock a lot of people. And I also think that Switzerland are going to have a good tournament too.
Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Which African nation will go farthest at the World Cup?
Senegal.
Wow.
And you?
You have a lot of hope in Senegal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the champions of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going
the real champions of Africa.
I was going to say, it was taken away in the boardroom.
I'm going to pick mine. For the finalists, I think, yes, I would go with Spain and France. They have very good teams, and the managers are equally very good and pragmatic enough to get them there with the sort of quality they have. Winners, I think France will reclaim the title. Dark horse, I'll go for Netherlands. I think they would win. They'll come closer this time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Netherlands. Yeah, I think they'll come. They'll come good. Player of the tournament, I think I would go for Michael Olise.
Okay.
Golden Boot. I see Kylian Mbappe getting it. Young player of revelation of the tournament. And there's this young man. It's just kept me. This young man who's going to be quite a revelation at this tournament. Just kept me. But I'm sure I'll quickly get back to that. Young player of the tournament. And that, the biggest disappointment, obviously, again, Belgium, like I've mentioned. A surprise team of the tournament, I still have Japan, and Senegal could just give us that surprise, I'm tipping Cote d'Ivoire a bit, but they always, disappoint when you least expect them to disappoint. And I see them disappointing once again at this tournament. And then which African nation will go farthest at the World Cup? I think it's Senegal once again. Senegal, Morocco, they could do it, but I think Senegal, have enough, to do that. Nana, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go. Your finalists.
My finalists. I'm going left field with my finalists. I'm going with Portugal to make it to the final.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they will face, what they call it, England. Yeah, I think the way the brackets work, they could face England in the final.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, and who wins?
I would love England to win it in that final, but I think Portugal will. When it comes to the players on the pitch, I think Portugal will have an edge.
All right. Dark horse nation.
Ooh, dark horse. I'm going to pick my father's African team to make it to also be the dark horse. That will be Senegal.
Okay. Player of the tournament.
If my pick for Portugal to get to the final and win it, definitely going to be a player from Portugal. And
so who?
Bruno Fernandes.
It would be Bruno Fernandes because Ronaldo is faster. Obviously. He's not going to do as much, but it will be Bruno Fernandes. If you get to the final, it will be Bruno Fernandes.
You don't fancy Vitinha?
He'll be good, but those who are going to create the chances, assist goals, those things will matter. And if Bruno Fernandes is the one that's going to deliver all of that, he will get the edge over Vitinha, even if Vitinha plays exceptional.
All right. Golden Boot winner.
Golden Boot
top scorer.
I'll go with Harry Kane. Since I said I'm going to get to the final, Harry Kane.
All right. Young player, revelation of the tournament.
Young player would be Lamine Yamal.
Biggest disappointment.
Netherlands. I think they'll probably go out in the round of 32.
Surprise team of the tournament.
Surprise team, I'm going to pick Ivory Coast.
All right. Which African nation will go farthest?
Like I said, Senegal will go farthest, and they're also my dark horse.
Okay. All right. Now, let's get into the final whistle. Ghana to reach round of 32, yes or no? Nana, sorry.
Yes.
Ghana's top scorer.
Ghana's top scorer. I think we'll probably have 3 or 4 different players all on one goal. I think the goals will be spread around in terms of how we are going to qualify, and we probably are not going to score more than 4. So, 1 goal each from 4 different players.
All right, and which one do you think would be making amends? Which player should everyone watch at this tournament from the Black Stars?
From the Black Stars? I think Caleb Yerenchi and Nyama. One of those two.
Caleb Yerenchi.
Yeah. I am hoping they will be the heroes that will come out of this tournament for Ghana.
All right. Okay. Carl, I think Ghana will reach the round of 32. It's a yes for me. Ghana's top scorer, Antoine Semenyo, will come with about 3 goals. Yeah, I see. He can do 2 against Panama and maybe get 1 against England. And I think the player everyone should be looking for, Enes Nyama, no doubt. I think everyone should be looking forward to him. He's going to be explosive enough. But Carl, Ghana to reach the round of 32, yes or no?
No, I'm sorry.
Ghana's top scorer at the World Cup.
Jordan
Ayew. Well, that's a good shout. And one player you think everyone should be watching at this tournament?
For Ghana?
Yeah.
Yes, for Ghana.
Caleb Yerenchi.
Wow. Ooh, wow. Well, it's been a very hearty conversation, and we just hope that, lots and lots will be happening going forward for us to see what happens at the World Cup. It's been, a nice time. Sorry, Kokusafu couldn't finish the show with us, but Carl, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Nana, sorry. Yes, it's been a very wonderful conversation. It's just going to pause, but the story is only, beginning, because the debate will continue. The predictions are going to be tested. Some dreams will rise and others will fail. That's the beauty of the World Cup. It answers questions we never thought to ask and creates moments that lay far beyond the final whistle. For Ghana, the road ahead is very uncertain. It's always is. Yet somewhere between expectation and possibility, the Black Stars hopefully will carry the hopes of millions onto football's biggest stage. And in the coming weeks, they will make themselves heroes from a very big day. Until then, keep the faith, enjoy football, and remember, every great tournament begins with a dream. My name is Calvin Owusu-Ansah. I hosted this when Anasari Kokusafu Mensah briefly joined us, and our special man, Carl, our brother, Kalanka. Yes, the best football writer. Carl, he said the magazine, let everyone know. So we quickly feast on it. We feast on it like, bread from heaven.
Everyone should get the new copy of World Soccer, and of course you should keep listening to everything out from The Athletic.
Exactly. You just had World Soccer. Yes, and there's going to be lots of writing from Kalanka. This has been a 50-50 football podcast. We'll see you on the other side of the whistle. Make sure you keep it going, you keep it alive, and you keep it 50-50 If you like this episode, just make sure you subscribe to the 50-50 Football Podcast and you share with a friend. Leave a comment what you want us to talk about, because this World Cup, we are going to serve you with all the big conversations you need to know. Bye-bye.
Great.